selected is on red.
Okay.
It looks like it's overheated.
Okay, it's okay. I can just
It's
speak.
a shame. I'm trying my best.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tiffany Robyn Soetikno. I come from Jakarta, the capital city of Indonesia, which is one of the largest countries in Southeast Asia. Today I'd like to talk about the 5 genders that is recognized by the Bugis tribe. So the Bugis people actually comes from Sulawesi, one of the major islands in Indonesia. Unlike most cultures, which recognizes a gender binary, the Bugis people actually recognize 5 genders, which are the man and the woman, as usual. And then we have the Kalabai, who is male-bodied, but performs femininely, wears feminine clothes, and also has relationships with men. And then we have the Kalalai, who is female-bodied, but acts in a masculine way, wears men's clothes, have short hair, usually ties up their hair as well, and has relationships with women. And lastly, we have the Bisu, who is usually seen as a spiritual leader in the community. Usually, they are called by the villagers, you can say, to do ceremonies such as weddings, and they are also called for special guests. But if a government official from the capital city comes over, then the Bisu would lead the ceremony. The aim of our study is to explore further about the Bugis tribe, because in the past there has been some scholarly work done on them for their music as well as for their gender recognition. However, it's still not complete, and we found new evidence and also new characteristics of their recognition of these 5 genders. The methods of our study is a semi-structured interview with observation and engagement with the Bugis people. The interviews were done in Bahasa Indonesia, which is the national language, as well as the respondents and the interviewers' native language. The respondents were actually contacted by a key informant, which also gave an interview to us. The data was then analyzed by transcribing the interviews and then analyzing it with interpretive phenomenological analysis, or IPA analysis. There were 13 participants from all the different genders, as well as 2 non-Bugis individuals, because we wanted to see what their thoughts were of these 5 genders, as well as how they've assimilated into the community and how that changed their views of these different genders. And the ages range between 20 to 68. The inclusion criteria was that they had to be within legal age, which in Indonesia it's 18 and above, and they had to be able to communicate in Bahasa Indonesia. The location was in Sengkang, which is in South Sulawesi, and the duration of the fieldwork was 1 week. So just to give context, this was part of undergraduate class that I took. I'm still an undergraduate at Sarah Lawrence College, and this is part of gender research class. So let me just back up a little so you can see the Bugis people. So this is who they are, and as you can see, there's the man Kalabai, Bisu, woman, and Kalalai, and I will talk more about them. So let me just skip ahead. So one of the prominent scholars of the Bugis people is Sharon Graham Davies, who comes from New Zealand, and she once wrote in her book that gender is not just about your body or about how you feel. For many Bugis, gender and gender identity are very much about what is performed in public. So she's talking a lot about performativity, which basically means that your gender performance is policed by the society, and this occurs here as well in the US, and that gender in itself is a socially constructed paradigm. So this is the first gender that I'm going to talk about, which is the Kalabai. Sharon Graham Davies we also found that the Kalabai is usually bodied male. They perform femininely. As I said, they dress in feminine clothes, they usually have long hair, they wear makeup, and they usually work as wedding organizers, makeup artists, and fashion designers. Then we have the Kalalai, who is bodied female. Usually is masculine in performance, has short hair, wears manly clothes. Of course, they are not as obvious as the Kalabai because even in today's society, women can wear pants, they can have short hair, and so on and so forth. And the Kalabai usually works in the fields or does manual labor. And also the Bugis people is actually an agricultural society, so they usually do a lot of, they work in the plantations and they also work in like the paddy fields. Then we have the Bisu, who is bodied male and is the perfect embodiment of femininity and masculinity according to the Bugis people. And the Bugis people also consider the Bisu as pure and as spiritual leaders. However, we found that we found some inconsistencies with Sharon Graham Davies's study. We actually found that the Bisu has to come from a Pamana area, which is a particular location in Sengkang, South Sulawesi, and they actually have to experience some sort of spiritual enlightenment, and also has to have some ancestors or relatives who are also Bisu. Yes, it's sort of like a shaman, but of a different sort of ritual. However, most of the studies that have been done on the Bugis only highlights the innovative nature of their recognition of gender. However, there's still social stigma among Bugis people. For instance, a lot of effeminate boys or butch girls are often stigmatized for their behavior. Parents and relatives often punish them because these parents or relatives often feel shame and guilt for their children's tendencies. So for instance, one of our respondents said, "My older brother got so mad that he threatened to kill me. He told me that he would marry me off. I'd rather die than marry." So just to give context, the Bisu is not allowed to marry at all. And also, the effeminate boys who are beaten often run to the Angkuru. Angkuru is a designated sort of protector. They are usually also Bisus. So this is a place for the effeminate boys to get some protection, but also learn about the traditions in the Bugis tribe. And then generally, these tendencies are seen as unchangeable, prompting parents to stop punishing their children. So this is more